Hey guys, normally I have a plan for what I'm going to talk about when I record. I kind of have just a structure in my mind, but today I was told to just let it flow. So I'm just here to speak on divine appointment to let you know that beautiful, beautiful things are happening now, things that give me so much courage and hope and faith and joy, because we're all being activated now. There's nothing that can stop what's coming. The power is and has been with the people this whole time, ever since Trump took stage, and it was a stage during his inauguration speech in early 2017, when he said, we're going to bring power back to the people. And it is now back to the people. And it always was. We just didn't know that we had been so conned into contracts. It is time now to make a covenant with God. No more contracts, only covenants. And if you're making contracts, then you are no longer in the glory realm. You are in the old realm. And so this is a transition that will take time. Think of me like a midwife. We literally are going through a birth of a new kingdom of heaven on earth. And birth is always pretty traumatic for both the mother and the child. But I'm here to tell you that not only have we been having contractions through the tribulation, but now people are starting to make the push. And so the pushes. So, and each push is going to get stronger and stronger. So from the spirit, we are all coming off of the hamster wheel of the ocean, the maritime, and we're all coming to land. And in my visualizations over the course of the last 5 years, and I don't know if many of you followed me all the way back into my original videos, but I'd always envisioned I can see things in the spirit realm, maybe as they're happening or whatever. But when you go deep into prayer and you go into meditation, I'm someone who tends to be able to visualize, and it all is making sense to me now. Everything is making sense, and it's all happening on God's timing. So I just want to talk a little bit about the birth, the birthing process that we're going through, so that you can start to identify what you're experiencing. So everyone is being rebirthed. So when you personally started to wake up, you probably remember the moment that you woke up, the day, the time, you probably remember the topic, and you probably remember where you were. That was the beginning of your metamorphosis. They called them Morpheus for a reason. And you basically built a cocoon around yourself to protect yourself as you went through a lot of negativity. You had to see just how dark it had gotten. You had to basically it's like the prognosis. You're being told, oh my gosh, there's cancer here. And wow. And it's pretty amazing, that metamorphosis that happens to you, but there's really no going back. A lot of people say you can't go back, can't black pill once you've red pilled. And that is because you're now a different person. You've morphed into a butterfly. You're a different person, and it's now going to be time to activate. So the first stage was waking up. You go into your caterpillar mode, or your cocoon, and you're just researching for 2 years, however long it takes. And, and everyone's got a different process and procedure on moving through that metamorphosis. But then when it comes time to cut open the cocoon and coming out into life as a butterfly, as a new being, you're basically being activated into the glory realm. And you actually have to go through that on your own, at your own pace, and no one can do that for you. So I want you to go inward and know that every individual is being activated. Every man, woman, and child are being activated in their own timing, in their own way. But not just that, every single city, county, state and country, and the entire world is going through its own birthing process. And it's all under God's divine timing. So how do you know it's the right time for you? You just know. You just know. But when I say that is what I mean, I'm talking about the collective, right? So what you might not realize is that, in every city, there's a collective. In every county, there's a collective. There's, in every state, there's a collective, and there's a collective cohesion that starts to happen, and we're all tuned in. So think of it, think of the collective, think of the quantum realm being a little bit like, you know, birds when they migrate south. How do they know how to get to the same exact spot every single time? How do they know that? Is there some, you know, they're like in this formation, is there the leader? Are there leaders in the front telling them which way to go? No, they're all tuned into each other on the same frequency. And when over 50% of the flock says, nope, we got to make an adjustment, they move. And so they rely on the intelligence of the collective to make decisions. Now, it doesn't take that many people in this realm to make a move for the greater good, because the world wants to be in balance all the time. And it's become so far out of balance, it's ready to correct. So because it's ready to correct, it doesn't take that many people to initiate that correction in spirit, right? Through prayer, through intention. But it does come with some tribulation. It does come with some work. I wish we could just totally surrender to it, but at some level, you do need to step through veils of fear in order to ascend. And that's just because there's been traumas built up. So as we move through trauma and move through fear, you're going to find that it is actually an existential experience that you're encountering. So let's just give an example, because I don't want to speak too esoterically about that. Let's say you're ready to move out of your cocoon. The experience is very scary because you can't see, and you're literally trying to find your way around. Like when we were trying to figure out bonds, we didn't know what we were doing yet. We knew there was a door. We knew we were in a room. We were feeling around, but we couldn't even find the light switch for a while. Once we finally found the light switch, that gave us more knowledge. We found the door, right? That gave us more knowledge. And then once you open the door, you kind of have to ask, is it God's timing for me to walk through and into the next realm? Is it God's timing? Is it right? And then you'll know if it's God's timing, if he's sending you the right people, and if you feel centered to walk through it. Because a lot of times there's people that are going to try to block you. So for me, when I walked through the door, I was serving a letter of intent to my school board. And that was me saying, no, I'm ready for this moment in time to declare and decree on behalf of my children and my family. I knew that I had to do that. Now, there were so many fear tactics that the dark entities or energies were trying to stop me from walking through that door. There were so many things that came up that day. I can't even tell you. It's just really funny how many times people try to block me with their fear of me walking through that threshold. Once I walk through that threshold, what you got to understand is there's always someone watching you. There's always someone who's ready to walk through the threshold right after you. They're interested and curious about that next realm. And it is a realm. It is a new space because we are exiting the matrix. We are literally, it's a battle. It's a war for the mind. We've been imprisoned in our mind in deep, deep, deep state. They call it deep state for a reason. It's a deep state of hypnosis, but there is a very physical manifestation of that deep state. Okay. But it is all an illusion. However, we participate in the illusion. So until we start moving our energy out of the illusion and into the new, you got to go through these steps, these doorways, and the doorways will open a whole new beginning for you. And every new door, every new room is better. It's just scary walking through the door. So who was watching me that day that I served my school board? My son. It was really sweet because not only was he fascinated with what I was doing, he wanted to learn how to do it. He wanted to learn how to get his voice. And you know what he wanted to fight about? He wanted to go, he says, Mom, can kids go and speak in front of the board meetings? I said, yeah, they sure can, honey. And he's like, I don't like having to go to school so early. So he wants to get a group of his friends and go up there and just stand up for the fact that I don't like having to get up this early every day to go to middle school. So I didn't know it would be him. I didn't know who it would be behind me. And I didn't know that so many people behind me. And obviously it was Violet that motivated me. And so she had me watching her, and then I did it. And then there were 10 behind me and 10 behind them and 10 behind them and 10 behind them. So it's like a chain reaction, a ripple effect. So I want you to know that if you feel brave enough to walk through the threshold, there's nothing but glory on the other side of it, nothing but glory in the new realm. And then you get to watch 10 others behind you walk through their fear. And many people are going to not be ready and they're going to resist. And that's okay. That's okay. It just means that they don't recognize or they're not quite ready. And that's what's so beautiful about this birthing process is we all get to do it on our own time. And it might not be, this is another thing I want you to understand. When I said, think of every state is going to have its own awakening. Some states are ready to wake up first and become active in this glory realm first. And so if you're banging your head against the wall in your state and they're not budging or they're not doing what you want to do, that's it's okay. It just means it's not God's timing. They're not ready yet. They will be, because nothing can stop what's coming. Nothing. Their sins have piled all the way up to heaven. Their contracts have piled all the way up to heaven. They're in extreme bankruptcy. They have no more money. They have no more money. Nothing can stop the people from rising in the spirit, in this realm. Nothing can stop it. This is 90% holy war, 10% paper. And there's 0% courts, because they have no control. They have no bearing over you. And I'll teach you why and how they have no bearing over you. Can they kidnap you and threaten you? Yes. So don't push in places where you shouldn't push yet. And if you're ready to become the martyr, then do it, but don't do it unless you feel like it's time. So again, you have to use discernment now. Trust that God will give you a message in threes when the time is right. You'll have 3 people contact you to tell you the time is right. And I don't know how that works or how that happens. It just does. And that's how you know, okay, the time is right. First, you'll get the idea. Oh, maybe I should try this next. And then you'll ask for the timing. And then when the 3 people come to you, you'll know it's the time. And so anyway, I want you guys to know that I'm with you, that we are with you, that everyone's with you. We're all together. Where we go one, we go all, because it is a movement for the people, by the people, and it's the consent of the governed. And we are no longer a person. We are no longer a fictitious straw man. We are no longer a purse who sins. We are not a person, not in the biblical tone. We are a living man, woman. We are sovereign beings. We have a direct connection with God. We can take complete jurisdiction over our land, air, and water, our property, our trust, our will, as well as all things that the pirates have ever taken away from us. And we have entered into the glory realm already. The war is already won in the spirit. It was already won in the stars. Like by the day before Trump even, well, it was won in the stars after, I really, honestly, it's just, I'll link those 2 below. I think you guys need to know just how biblical this really is. There's an interview that I did with Scott McKay. I've done several interviews with people now on this story, but really this is the end time prophecy. God wins. The story is in the stars. Trust me when I tell you this. I'll link those 2 below, but really we already won. And I needed to know that we won in order to have the faith and the courage to come into this next phase. And so that's why I want you guys to go watch those videos, just so that you can have the faith and the courage that all the signs have been there, and that now it's just a matter of us declaring and decreeing our freedom. And so if they give it to us and we don't accept it, then then we're not ready. So we have to accept it now. We have to become active. We have to activate ourselves in the glory realm, become active in the new, and start pulling out participation in the old, in the de facto, in the illusion. And the de facto is, you'll be surprised as all that unwinds. You'll be surprised just how tangled of a web they've woven for themselves, when only practiced to deceive. Anyway, guys, I love you so much. I hope this message comes to you with love and light, and we'll talk again soon. All right.